This hurts a woman the most when she doesn't value you. Modern Stoic. Love is not about possession, it's about appreciation. Anonymous. There's a harsh truth that many men have faced, though few admit it to themselves. Being overlooked by someone you've poured your heart into is a deeply painful experience. It's not dramatic, it's personal. It's that quiet, nagging feeling you've had, but never knew how to put into words. Every man who's ever been undervalued or used by a woman knows this sting. You've given her everything you had, your time, loyalty, love, and presence, and yet she never saw it. She never saw you. But here's the twist no one likes to talk about. When a woman doesn't value you, she's not afraid of losing you until you do something unexpected. The key is not to beg, argue, or try to convince her of your worth. It's about becoming the kind of man she cannot touch, no matter how hard she tries. This isn't about getting revenge or playing games. It's about true power, the kind that's quiet, controlled, and rooted in self, worth. It's the kind of power that forces her to look back, regretful of ever treating you like an option. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to reach that point. A place where she realizes that the man she once took for granted is now someone she can never access again. This is about showing your value, not by shouting it, but by embodying it in every part of who you are. Stay tuned. 1. When you stop explaining yourself. When you stop explaining yourself, everything shifts. There's a hard truth that most men never hear enough. A woman who doesn't truly value you will never admit she's wrong. It's a painful reality, but it's true. She'll twist the facts, rewrite the narrative, and somehow make it seem like you're always the one in the wrong, even when all you did was care too much. She'll play the victim, demand your energy, your attention, and your forgiveness. But the moment you stop explaining yourself, when you choose silence over the constant battle for validation, that's when it all changes. It's not just the silence that stings, it's the quiet power behind it. When you stop defending yourself, when you stop trying to win an argument that was never meant to be won, something shifts. You stop trying to fix things. You stop running in circles. You're no longer the man desperately seeking to make things right with someone who's already made up their mind. That's when the sharpest realization strikes her. You've stopped explaining yourself because you're no longer trying to justify your worth. You're no longer begging for her attention or forgiveness. And that silence hurts her more than anything you've ever said. In that moment, when you say nothing after her usual storm of guilt and drama, it hits her on a deeper level than words ever could. Why? Because you've taken a step back. You've created space. Space not to withdraw in coldness, but to stand firm in clarity. You're not cold, you're clear. You're no longer chasing her approval or trying to prove your value. You're watching her behavior with the detachment of someone who's done trying to fix something that can't be fixed. That kind of clarity is rare, especially in the face of drama. And it's in that calm, measured silence that you communicate a truth far louder than any argument. This is where the power of the modern Stoic comes in. This is the blessing of Stoicism, the ability to stand firm in your own truth without needing to explain or defend yourself constantly. The old Stoic taught us that true power comes from within, not from arguing with those who refuse to see things clearly, but from the wisdom of knowing when to simply stop speaking. The moment you stop explaining yourself, she realizes something you've already known she's been wrong, not just about you, but about the situation. She may not admit it, but that realization cuts deep. You've been there, giving your time, your energy, your love, and yet it was never enough. And now, when you've decided to step away from the constant need to explain yourself, it's too late. The damage has been done, you've distanced yourself from the emotional chaos, and she's left to deal with the consequences of her actions. The silence isn't punishment, it's clear. It's the recognition that your piece is worth more than the drama. It's the realization that you have something more valuable to offer than constant apologies and explanations. Don't confuse this with being cold. It's not about shutting her out or being indifferent. It's about standing firm in yourself, respect, knowing that you are worthy without having to constantly prove it. Be the man who doesn't need to explain his every move, his every intention. Be the man who knows his worth without seeking validation from others. That is the essence of modern Stoicism. The old Stoic knew that true strength wasn't in constant defense, it was in the ability to remain calm, centered, and detached from the noise of the world. When you stop explaining yourself, you show the world the quiet power that comes from within, a power that can't be shaken by guilt, drama, or manipulation. That silence, that calm in the face of chaos, is your greatest strength. It's the loudest message you can send without uttering a single word. And when she finally realizes that you're no longer there, fighting for something that never existed, she understands, too late, that she's lost you. But don't look back. Don't go back to the endless cycle of apologies and explanations. You've learned the blessing of Stoicism. You've embraced the power of silence. And in that silence, you found your peace. You found your strength. Don't ever apologize for that. Be the modern Stoic. Stand firm in your worth and let the silence do the talking. 2. When you prioritize peace over her chaos. It's a shift every man must learn, though few ever do. You used to jump at her every call, cancel your plans, explain your feelings endlessly, lose sleep over her moods. You thought that being available, always ready to sacrifice for her, was how you showed love. But somewhere along the way, things changed. You stopped chasing. You started saying things like, "I'll call you later," or "I've got plans," or even, "I'm not okay with that." Simple, clear, and unapologetic. And that's when the panic set in. Why? Because her control over you was slipping. Women who don't truly value you crave chaos. They thrive in it. They need to see you emotionally stirred up, because when you're calm, their grip begins to loosen. When you become stable, grounded in your own emotions, you stop being a puppet to the drama they've woven. And when you start choosing peace over chaos, when you start saying no to her passive, aggressive comments, when you walk away mid-argument instead of trying to win, that's when she feels it. That's when she notices that the control she once had over your emotions is fading away. She no longer has the power to dictate your mood. And that realization, my friend, is what cuts the deepest. This is when you finally show the strength of a true Stoic life. The Stoic lessons are simple: control yourself, control your peace, and never let the outside world or another person's emotional turmoil pull you into their storm. Be the calm in your own life. And when you do that, you're no longer just existing to please or placate. You're no longer trying to prove your worth. You've learned the art of detachment, the Stoic ability to choose your own emotional state, no matter the external chaos. When you prioritize peace, you start walking away from arguments instead of trying to win them. You start asserting your boundaries in a way that says, "This is who I am, and I am not here to be emotionally manipulated." And that's when the tables turn. It's not that you're being cold or indifferent, it's that you're finally choosing yourself. You're no longer letting her mood decide your worth. You've reclaimed your inner peace, and suddenly, she realizes she doesn't own it anymore. She doesn't have the power to upset you on a whim. And trust me, nothing hurts more to a woman than knowing the man she once thought she could control. The man who used to bend over backward to please her has finally chosen to prioritize his own peace. This isn't about revenge. It's not about getting back at her for anything. No, this is about returning to yourself. It's about recognizing that you are the source of your own peace, not her. And in the process, you stop needing her approval or validation. When you do that, you're no longer part of her chaotic cycle. You've broken free from the emotional tug-of-war, and now she's the one left craving the chaos she used to control. But this time, it's too late. You've already moved on, found your center, and prioritized your peace above all else. The Stoic life teaches us that true strength lies in our ability to remain unmoved by external chaos. When you embrace Stoicism, you understand that no one has the right to control your emotional state. You stop jumping at every call, every demand. Instead, you stand firm, knowing that your peace is sacred. That's the lesson you must learn. Don't let anyone disrupt your calm. Don't let anyone convince you that chaos is love. Love doesn't come with emotional manipulation. Love comes with understanding, respect, and balance. Be the stoic man who knows his value, who knows his worth, and who is never swayed by the emotional turbulence of others. Be the man who values peace above everything else. Because when you do, you'll find a freedom that few will ever understand. Stick with me, because this is just the beginning. We're moving forward with even more powerful tactics to leave a lasting impact on their minds. Get ready for the next move, one that deepens their connection to you in ways they can't ignore. If you are ready, comment, "Let's go." Let's move forward. 3. When you stop competing for her time. When you stop competing for her time, you begin a transformation that shifts the power dynamics in a way most men never truly understand. At first, you were the one constantly initiating plans, sending messages, trying to stay on her radar. You felt fortunate to be in her orbit, as if her attention was some rare and precious commodity you had to earn. Every like, every message, every bit of effort you put forth was your way of showing you cared, trying to stay relevant in her world. But the problem is, you allowed it to continue for far too long. You chased her, competed for her time, and, without even realizing it, you gave away your power in the process. Then, one day, you simply stop. You stop checking in first. You stop replying right away. You stop liking her posts, commenting on her pictures, or being the first to notice every little thing she does on social media. Instead, you pull back. You create space. And in that silence, where you once vied for her attention, you force her to take notice. Now, this is where the change happens. She will notice your absence quickly, because, unlike men, women don't realize how much power they wield until it's no longer there. When you no longer chase after her, she feels a shift she cannot ignore. She may never admit it, but in her mind, the questions will start. Why isn't he trying anymore? Who has his attention now? Was I ever really in control? These are the questions she won't speak out loud, but they will echo in her mind. At first, she might not even understand it. She will try to ignore it. But deep down, she'll begin to ask herself what changed and why. This is the moment when the power dynamic flips. You've stopped playing the game, and it forces her to measure your absence against the attention of every other man who thought they mattered more than you. And let's be clear, those men don't compare. The silence you've created makes it glaringly obvious that you were the one who held the true value. And now that she's lost it, she feels it deeply. But here's the truth, you're not doing this to hurt her. You're doing this to reclaim your dignity and raise your standards. You're no longer begging for basic effort or scrambling for validation. You've come to understand that your time, your attention, and your energy are precious. They are not something to be wasted. By stopping the competition for her time, you've realized that you deserve more than being the one who chases, the one who pleads, or the one who always gives more than he receives. You've realized that your worth doesn't need to be validated by her, and you stop seeking her approval. This is where true power lies. By withdrawing, you force her to reckon with the reality of what she's lost. The silence you've created speaks louder than any words could. You're not bitter, you're not angry. You simply recognize your own worth and refuse to give it away to someone who never truly appreciated it. The absence of your presence is far more impactful than any confrontation could ever be. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. This is your chance to be that man, to stop seeking approval, to stop playing games, to stop allowing yourself to be undervalued. You've chosen the path of stoicism, silence, peace, and non-response, not because you're weak or angry, but because you've come to realize that you are strong enough to walk away from anyone who doesn't appreciate your value. In modern life, this is more important than ever. Men today are constantly told they must beg for attention, compete for affection, and prove their worthiness to others. The truth is, this is not strength, it's desperation. Stoicism teaches us that we must control our own emotions, actions, and reactions. We do not let others dictate our worth, and the moment you stop competing for her time, you're not just making a statement to her, you're making a statement to yourself. You are no longer a man defined by the attention of others. You are a man defined by your own standards, your own worth, and your own sense of purpose. Let's be clear, when you stop competing for her time, you take back control of your life. You stop seeking external validation and begin to live on your own terms. You realize that your time, energy, and focus are too valuable to be given away to someone who isn't willing to meet you at the same level. This is the true power of Stoicism, the ability to remain steady, firm, and unwavering in the face of challenges. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. The best way to deal with a woman who doesn't value you is to simply withdraw, to stop fighting for her attention, and to live your life without seeking her approval. You raise your standards, and in doing so, you become the man she will regret losing. In the end, the most powerful move a man can make is to stop competing for someone who does not appreciate him. Silence is louder than words. Peace is more powerful than conflict, and non-response is the ultimate act of self-respect. The moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop competing, you will understand the true power of your own presence. This is Stoicism in its purest form. This is how you master life. And once you've done it, once you've awakened to your true worth, you will never go back. 4. When you stop reacting to her mixed signals. When you stop reacting to her mixed signals, that's when everything changes. In the past, she thrived on the game, the late replies, the cold shoulder, the compliments followed by nothing but radio silence. You were left guessing, wondering where you stood. You'd text again, try to decode her mood, hoping for some clarity. But that wasn't the point. She wasn't trying to hurt you, she was getting a rush from the control, from watching you chase after something she wasn't offering. She knew what she was doing, keeping you on edge, testing your emotional investment, watching you struggle to make sense of the chaos. But when you stop playing along, when you stop responding to the game, that's when everything shifts. You don't chase her anymore. You don't ask what's wrong. You don't try to figure out the puzzle that she's deliberately making harder to solve. You just go quiet. That's when the power flips. For a woman who doesn't value you, your emotional reaction is the key to her feeling important. She feeds off the anxiety she stirs up, the confusion she leaves in her wake. When you stop feeding that cycle, when you remain calm, collected, and emotionally steady, that's when she knows you've seen through her game. You no longer care to chase after her hot and cold routine. You figured it out. And that realization stings. For the first time, she no longer holds the upper hand. She's sitting in the silence you've created. She's left wondering what you're thinking, what's going on inside your mind. And that silence, that stillness, it's louder than anything you could say. You've stopped filling the empty space with anxiety, with questions, with your desperate need for her validation. In doing so, you've taken away the very things she relied on to maintain her sense of power. You've become the modern Stoic, the one who has mastered his emotions, who remains unmoved in the face of chaos. That's the blessing of Stoicism. You've learned to rise above the drama, to remain unfazed by the games people play. When you become emotionally detached, not in a cold or unfeeling way, but with the calm strength of an old Stoic, you hold all the power. You no longer need the validation of someone who doesn't value you. You've transcended the need for external approval because your inner peace becomes the most important thing. And when you refuse to react, refuse to play into the chaos, you shift the dynamics in the relationship. You become the man who is not fazed, who cannot be shaken by her attempts to control or manipulate. In a world where so many are caught up in chasing approval, seeking validation, and constantly responding to the emotional games others play, the modern Stoic stands firm. He's the man who knows his worth, who doesn't allow the whims and moods of others to dictate his happiness. And this is where your power lies, not in your ability to react, but in your ability to remain still, to hold your ground, to not let the emotional chaos around you dictate who you are. So, next time she plays her games, don't chase her. Don't try to decode her mixed signals. Just sit back, breathe, and let her experience the power of silence. Because, as the modern Stoic knows, that silence speaks louder than any words ever could. If this resonates with you, like, comment below, and share it with someone who could benefit from hearing this wisdom. Don't forget to subscribe for more content on personal growth and emotional strength. Comment to remember, I am in control of my emotions and value myself first. 5. When you start smiling without her. This one strikes deep, and it hits her in a way she won't even be able to put into words. At first, you were the guy who waiting for her attention, hoping for her validation. You sent her memes, constantly checking your phone, eager for a call or a text. Your joy. It was wrapped up in her presence, her approval, her smile. But then, something shifts. You change, you begin to smile on your own. You're no longer waiting for her. You're not sending memes, not checking your phone every 5 minutes. You're out with your friends, hitting the gym, diving into your work, and finding peace in your own life. Suddenly, you're posting stories that radiate confidence. You look alive, you're laughing, and, for the first time in a long time, she's not the reason why. It's all you. Your life doesn't orbit around her anymore. And, oh boy, does it hurt her. That smile, it stings. It's the kind of smile that cuts right through her. It tells her she's no longer the center of your universe. It tells her that her absence, it didn't break you. It freed you. You're in the sunlight now, without her shadow hanging over you. That hurts, deeply. You might think she'll regret this, but it's not regret that she feels, it's loss. The man she never truly valued has transformed. He's no longer the guy desperate for her attention. Now, he's someone else, someone who's too busy living a stoic life to worry about her. She's left watching from the sidelines, knowing full well that she didn't take you seriously until it was too late. It wasn't until you stopped waiting for her that she realized the truth. She didn't matter as much as she thought. And you've moved on. You found something else to smile about. She now replays the memories, telling herself stories about what could have been. But here's the painful part. You're already gone. You're living your life, thriving, and smiling without her. Now, I want you to grasp something important here. Don't get caught up in her reaction. It's not about her. This is about you. This is about your own growth. Stoicism teaches us that we must be indifferent to the external world. It's not about whether she regrets or mourns your absence. It's about how you've changed, how you've learned to find happiness, peace, and strength within yourself. You no longer need her for your joy. You've embraced a stoic life, one where your happiness is determined by you, not by someone else's approval. Be aware of the power of your transformation. When she sees that you're no longer the man she took for granted, that you're thriving without her, something shifts. You've demonstrated that you've moved beyond waiting for her to validate your existence. This is the true lesson of Stoicism independence. When you start smiling without her, you're living proof of the Stoic lessons that value self, sufficiency over reliance on others. You've learned to stand tall on your own 2 feet, unshaken by her indifference or absence, and that's where your strength lies. Don't look back for reassurance. Stoicism encourages us to focus only on what we can control. You cannot control her reaction, nor should you waste time hoping for her to come around. Let her check your page, replay those memories, and tell herself stories. You must focus on yourself. You're already gone, and in the best possible way. That smile, it's yours. It's the smile of a man who's figured out that his worth isn't dependent on someone else. You've realized that your joy is yours to create, and it doesn't come from the approval of others. You are the architect of your own happiness. And this, my friend, is where true freedom lies. Be the man who smiles without her, not out of spite, but out of growth. You found your peace, your strength, and your purpose. and that's something she can't take away. So, when she checks your page, when she remembers what she lost, just smile. You've got this, because in the end, you've learned the most important Stoic lesson of all life is about living for yourself, not for someone who never truly valued you. 6. When you stop seeking her approval. There's a moment in every man's journey when he stops seeking her approval. It may have started innocently, looking for validation in your appearance, accomplishments, or decisions. You wanted her to see you, to affirm your worth, to feel recognized. But here's the truth: seeking approval from anyone, especially a woman, means you've surrendered your power. You gave up control over your own life. You must learn the critical lesson: her approval does not define your worth. Stop searching for it. This shift, when you stop needing her validation, is where true power lies. Suddenly, you make decisions for yourself, not for anyone else's sake. You are driven by your own principles, not by someone else's approval. The power dynamics change. This shift makes her feel vulnerable, exposed. The man she once had influence over now stands solid, unshaken, because he is no longer dependent on her to feel validated. And that, my friend, is where she begins to feel the sting. It is quiet but powerful. It forces her to face the truth. You no longer care to impress her. You no longer seek her approval. You are your own source of validation, and there is nothing more disarming to a woman who once held that power over you. The world can see you for who you are, and you no longer depend on her acknowledgement to define you. This is where the true Stoic mindset comes in. Stoic principles teach us that we should only seek validation from within. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoics, reminds us that we should never allow external forces to determine our inner peace or self-worth. You must be the master of your own emotions, the ruler of your own life. When you stop seeking approval, you reclaim control. She will notice the change. It might hurt her, but it is the only way to truly unlock your potential. This is victory, my friend. This is mastery. Do not fall into the trap of seeking validation. You must become the man who stands firm on his own, unmoved, unshaken, unapologetically himself. You must make this shift if you wish to live a life of freedom, strength, and self-respect. That is the way of the modern Stoic. If you find this insight valuable, comment below and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom. Comment to remember. When you stop seeking her approval, you take back your power. 7. When you start valuing your time. There's a subtle yet profound truth in the philosophy of the modern Stoic that reveals itself when you start valuing your own time. Before, perhaps, you were the man who dropped everything the moment she called. You rearranged your life to fit hers, accommodating her whims and needs, prioritizing her over everything else. This was your pattern, your default. You might have thought that being always available was a sign of your commitment or love. But here's where the blessing of Stoicism steps in as you begin to mature and see the world through the lens of wisdom. You realize that your time is a sacred resource, one that can't be given away freely without consequences. You start to say no when you need to set boundaries, to protect your energy, your health, and your personal goals. And here's where it gets interesting as you begin to reclaim your time. The power dynamic shifts. The woman who once had easy access to you, who knew that you would bend your schedule to accommodate hers, now finds herself confronted with a new reality. She begins to feel the sting of your absence, and it stings hard. She realizes that the man she once could rely on to be always available is now a man with his own plans, his own agenda, and his own life. It's no longer about her needs first. Now, it's about you. This transformation is a stark reminder of how modern Stoicism teaches us to become masters of our own time, to understand that time spent is time invested, not just in others, but in ourselves. The old Stoic would have called this self-discipline, a necessary art of focusing on the things that truly matter. The modern Stoic understands it as the fundamental ability to say no without guilt. It's a powerful thing. This self-respect. The pain this causes isn't about cruelty, It's about the simple reality that when you begin to value yourself, you no longer let others dictate your time. You don't just exist to fulfill someone else's desires. You are a man with goals, with ambition, with a life outside of the role she's assigned to you. You must take this lesson to heart. Do not ever let anyone make you feel guilty for protecting your most valuable asset, your time. That is the essence of the modern Stoic. When she feels the absence of your constant availability, it's a wake-up call, not just for her, but for you as well. You've stepped into your own power. You've set boundaries, and that's a lesson in itself. 8. When you start being the best version of yourself without her. When a man starts becoming the best version of himself without her, something powerful happens. You're no longer just the man she thought she knew, the one whose potential was always somewhere just out of reach. Now, you're transforming, focusing on yourself in ways you never did before, hitting the gym, advancing in your career, seeking knowledge, and emotionally maturing. It's not about proving anything to her. It's about you becoming the man you were always meant to be. This journey, rooted in Stoicism and the Stoic lessons of self, discipline and focus, changes everything. It's a deep shift, and it's no longer just about her. It's about your growth, your individual path. The most painful part for her, she's no longer part of that journey. The role she once had as the center of your world, the one who thought she could be the catalyst for your success or happiness, fades away. She might have thought that she was the reason you'd succeed, the force behind your smile or your drive. But when you start flourishing on your own, it's a slap in the face. She realizes that the man who once struggled to find his footing is now standing tall, and he's doing it all without her. That shift is brutal. It exposes her inability to see the real you, the potential that was always there, but that she couldn't recognize. You're now operating on a level she can't reach, and more importantly, you're not looking to her to validate your growth anymore. This is where Stoic life really hits home. It's not just about physical strength or intellectual achievements. It's about creating a mindset that values self-reliance, self-respect, and inner strength. A true Stoic isn't waiting for someone else to push him forward. He knows that his happiness and success come from within. And this mindset forces a woman, especially one who may have once seen you as just good enough, but never quite fully committed, to face the reality that she's been left behind. She's no longer the reason for your success or the anchor to your progress. And that stings, but that's the point. You must live your life for yourself. You must live it for your own growth, your own success, and your own happiness. That is the essence of Stoicism. You must understand that when you start being the best version of yourself, especially without her, you create something more powerful than a relationship. You create a new standard for your life. This transformation shifts the balance, giving you the space to thrive without any dependence on someone else. The old Stoic would tell you to seek inner peace and personal growth, not through the validation of others, but through your own efforts. When you put in the hard work, when you show up for yourself every day, the people around you have no choice but to see you differently. Your growth is no longer tied to their approval or input, and that's when it gets real. The most important lesson here: your growth doesn't need her approval. When you start focusing on becoming your best self without her involvement, it disrupts the dynamic. The woman who once had a role in your happiness now faces the truth you're evolving with or without her. This will hurt her more than anything because it forces her to confront the fact that she couldn't shape your path. You are now a man on his own journey, following the wisdom of Stoic teachings, finding fulfillment within yourself, not in someone else. In the end, the Stoic man doesn't seek external validation. He knows his worth. He builds his own empire. He learns, grows, and thrives regardless of the people around him, and especially regardless of the ones who never saw his true potential. You must take these lessons to heart. Don't wait for anyone to define you. Don't let anyone hold you back. Be the man who thrives in every area of life, regardless of whether she's with you or not. That is the power of Stoicism in practice, and once you embrace it, you'll never go back. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with something important. The world we live in can sometimes make us feel like we have to constantly chase validation. But here's the truth: when you stop begging for attention and start valuing yourself first, that's when you really unlock your power. This channel is for men who speak less, see more, and move like they're not afraid to lose anyone who treats them like they're replaceable. So, if you've ever pulled away and felt your value double the moment you stop trying, I want you to say it. Say it out loud, or just comment it below. Let it echo silence. If you agree, leave a silence in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong, stay silent, and stay true to yourself.